Fading your spade.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and there were no decisions in the executive session. Do you have anything else for us, Amanda?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
You want me to see if Dave's here?
Sure.
So how many counties do we have in recycling now?
3.
Thomas?
No. I think it's Rollins, Cheyenne, and Sherman.
Decatur.
Sherman? Decatur, I mean.
Decatur.
Indicators,
Threatening to get out.
yeah.
So where are they headed?
He's at the shop.
I don't know what they think they're gonna do, but it's crazy how, when they drop out, how much they end up paying. Like Thomas County, I think they're paying way more than they would if they'd have stayed with us. It was just a political thing there that they.
Yes. And when this thing first started,
Do they think that we're getting a better deal than them or something, or?
No,
they got mad at the individual that was in Colby. I don't know if they called him a manager or whatever.
I don't know what they did, but heck, you figure just the compactors alone that they get for free, you know, that we get through the Sunoco. Hell, those things are what, 27,000 a piece. They had to buy 3 of them and return the ones that they had from ours. And now they gotta pay Hill Trash, I think it is, to haul their recyclables for them. That was part of what the recycling does, is goes and picks them up for you for free. It's not looking good.
Well, at one time, there was 8 counties in that. Slowly but surely, they just drop off one by one.
But I don't think we have enough funds to finish out the year. It's getting tough.
Well, there's quite a bit of equipment involved, compactors, a couple of trucks, some trailers.
Big trailers, the building.
Yeah. But,
And that's in Colby?
well, there is one in Colby, yeah.
That's where we're based at, yeah.
Based, yeah.
But theoretically,
Thomas County's not in it.
the last, for lack of better words, the last man standing gets all the equipment, was the way that contract was drawn up. But we're gonna have to figure out some way to share with Rollins County and still keep this thing going, but I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't. Roger's got some ideas of what we can do. But,
That's too bad, because that was a good program.
it's hard to figure out how people think sometimes when you figure hauling your own recyclables. Man, they're going probably 100 miles hauling and paying Hill to haul them for them.
And that's dirty recycling too, that's not sorted or anything else.
I don't know if it is or not.
I'm pretty sure it
Well,
is.
that's what they were trying to get them to do anyway. It was dirty. It's just basically hauling it to a different dump.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff's worthless, like glass, you make nothing on it. And cardboard fluctuates from $12 a ton to 80, 90. It goes up and down like crazy.
Well, the whole country's, because China was taking most of our recycling, but when they put all them trade restrictions on them, so now there's recycling piling up all over the country.
And say like those plastic bottles, it's cheaper for them to make new stuff than recycle it. They were just doing it. A lot of people are doing it just to help out the country, but
So is that why some of these counties are dropping out? It's almost cheaper just to haul all of it off as dirty
no,
recycling?
no, because like I say, I don't understand where it comes from, because it's cheaper to give it to us because we go get it and we take, regardless, we take the glass, we take cardboard, we take cans, and it's cheaper to give it to us, and sometimes we almost have to give it to the companies, they come for it, but otherwise you're paying to get rid of it. And it's not that expensive to stay in compared to where your dump goes, That's a lot of stuff that goes in the landfill.
Well, there's got to be a thought process why they're dropping out. Either they think it's cheaper or not. A lot of those cities probably have to have people up there sorting and.
Most of the people sort it themselves. I don't know if you've ever been to this one over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the people are pretty good about sorting them. Most people, but I get a few that don't.
But maybe Colby's a little different.
And we've been trying to get the college to come in and start recycling more. You'd think a college would recycle more than what they do, but they don't. Get these college kids to volunteer in the recycling. We've had them, but
this is way off the mark, but I was just sitting here thinking about the Fair Board. We haven't heard anything from the Fair Board forever.
Nothing.
Who's the president of that now?
I think it's
Josh.
Josh Johnson. Now, last time they came in here, they were gonna go to a limited meeting through the winter there.
Well, the newspaper keeps saying, referencing the fair, and we've not heard anything about the fair or,
What the plan is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there'll just be a 4-H program and that's about it.
Yeah, but did they book some grandstand shows?
Seems like there was something about that, but I don't know.
I haven't heard nothing, not one thing about the fair. Might be about time to give them a call.
It's gonna get to 97 again today.
Did you see Wednesday, like 103?
It's not doing that weed any good.
Wind showing heavy winds for the next 4 days. And then rain Friday and Saturday.
Well, let's hope that's right.
And if we get south winds for 3-4 days, we usually get a little moisture.
Well, if you can judge moisture by wind, we should be pretty wet.
I think it's raining, but it dries it out before it hits the ground.
And there's some truth to that.
So some people got, last weekend, they got 80, 90 points. We had 20 points out there.
About 40.
About this Colorado 36, kind of up north up there. We had a lot there for a while.
I had to go over and look at a couple fields the other day, and they took a lot of hail too. About 2 miles in, a little bit south. A lot of hail damage down there.
Well, where I came from, that rain was either we got a lot or a little. I never was around where they cared about points as much as they do here.
Well-
Of course, it makes a big difference, but
Yeah, when your livelihood depends on it. Yeah.
Did you get all your thistle sprayed?
Never ending job.
Jake's is spraying today.
Jeff's getting to the point where he wants a 50-foot boom.
You can't get it down through the river though.
It's
Well,
terrible.
He's pulled up. And he's thinking about getting Gilbert down in this one area, but he can't get through the gates. And it wasn't that way last year. There wasn't anything there last year.
Roger was saying yesterday that he saw some that never seen it before.
Yeah. I was driving up the street the other day and there's a vacant lot here in town. 3 months thistle plants right out in the middle of it. Just, I don't.
What chemical are you guys using?
Milestone.
We use Grazon. It seems to have worked the best for us. Well, for Jeff, he does it. I just ride along every now and then.
I sent Jake to a pasture today and I said, what do you want me to do when I get done? I said, don't worry, you won't get done.
take the day off when you're done.
and Jeff thought he was getting ahead. And like I said, he ran into this patch that had never been there before, and that just added another day, because it's gonna take a whole day just to spray that one area.
We've got areas bigger than this courthouse, so thick you can't walk through it.
And what is that?
Nose thistle. But they deemed it a noxious weed. This is, I don't know who did the counting. They said those flowers on them have 200,000 seeds in a flower.
And what is it, they can lay dormant for what, 7 years?
You get the right conditions in the fall, because they come up in the fall. And you don't even know you have them because they're just little rosettes. They're shorter than the grass most of the time, so you can't see them. And then spring comes and they go plop.
Well, we went out, because Jeff wanted to get a jump on it and start spraying earlier than he normally does. But like you said, they're rosettes and they're down in that grass and you can't see them. And then the next thing you know, they're this tall.
With 3 flowers on them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have almost 1 million seeds on that one plant. Like I said, I don't know who the guy was that counted it, but he probably got a lot of money to count how many flowers growing seeds of them.
I'm thinking it was a guesstimate. Here, let me take this 1/4 inch right here.
But he got a grant.
$1 million grant to count seeds.
That one comedian was talking about all the rats in New York City. He said, well, why didn't they just kill them when they was counting them?
Did you hear that about, I think it was China? They were having riots over kind of the same stuff, you know. They took their fire trucks and put blue dye in them. And they had rioters and they
So the whole cone,
shot them with blue dye.
so they go arrest them
And
later.
then when they come out the next day, they arrested them. They had blue dye on them, they arrested them. They smurfed them.
I see Eddie's across the hall, so he should be over here any second.
Well, that garage there.
How they got along in Atlanta last night.
I didn't even read the news this morning. Just about weaning myself off of news.
So, it's so depressing.
That's so silly.
And I don't care what one you listen to.
See, the Ford County has 1,800 cases now.
So,
Well, and what's interesting is, you know, they have all these spikes and positives and et cetera, but you may have all of these increases in positive cases, but I'm not seeing much in regards to hospitalizations and deaths.
Ford had like 10 deaths out of
1,800
1,800
cases.
cases.
Which, in order to be tested by KDHE, and correct me if I'm wrong, you still have to show certain symptoms before that testing will run through KDHE, otherwise you're paying for it.
Heard, and I'm not, this is just hearsay, but I've heard that they want, through somebody, they want testing done.
Laura Kelly came out last week and said that she would like to find a way to test every Kansan who wants tested. But she didn't say how she was going to pay for it.
Right.
What good's that?
Well, if you want to show,
There's so much conflicting information.
well, yeah, you read one article that says that some of these tests are only 50% accurate. Well, that doesn't do you any good.
Read one the other day, there wasn't antibodies. Well, I saw one 50% don't even have the antibodies. So, but you read one thing and the next day it's different.
Yeah. Well, these news agencies, all they do is go out and pick their own experts. Yeah. Basically, they're just relaying their opinion. That's just one person's opinion.
There was a poll, I don't know where they get their polls. 40% of the people in the United States want to defund police. I cannot believe that. There's no way. No way at all. 40% of the people.
What do they plan on doing? I mean,
They've never had an emergency.
Yeah, but there's no way 40% of the people feel that
no.
way.
Well, that's 40% of the people they polled. That means that they just went out and picked who they wanted to talk to, probably.
Could you imagine if they did?
No, I can't.
It'd be
Can you imagine if the police would all strike for a week?
yeah,
Then we'd see what people thought.
you'd have to get some guns real quick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
People are always telling,
Proper distance.
people are always telling me about,
For you, no. We need you on the other end of town.
I'll do that.
they tell me that we gotta take the guns away from everybody. And I said, go ask Mexico how it works.
All right, you got lots of paper there.
Well, I've been to the treasurer's office for a while, and so trying to get current numbers. Some year-end stuff from 18 to 19 might have been in the middle. So trying to verify that. So the problem at the Good Samaritan right now is they can't have visitors, and assisted living, they're not wanting them to leave or have company either. And the state was supposed to issue a directive Thursday or Friday. It didn't happen Thursday. I don't know if it happened Friday. And the medical community, some of them think, yes, it could be open. But as you're aware, see, hospitals and some of those entities were granted limited liability. And long-term care and assisted living was excluded from that. So we're under a different set of rules right now. And I don't know why, but I don't know why on several things they've issued. But you know, that makes a difference on what they do up there. Because they have to answer to the state because they're the ones that come and inspect.
That's why I started to say you got to follow the directive that's issued through KDHE,
Yeah.
but we're not getting any information from KDHE?
Well, they were supposed to let them know Thursday or Friday, and I don't know. It didn't happen Thursday, but maybe Friday, but I think they'd have called me if it would have happened, but I don't know. But you can understand why, especially assisted living and
Sure.
private pay,
Sure.
and they're tired of being there.
We were given rights to some of those
Okay,
last week,
okay,
just so you're aware.
okay. So anyway, it's quite interesting. And the other question I have, that loan well, yeah, it was started out as a loan at $324,150 that I told you about earlier. See, 75% of that is for wages and benefits. 25% could be used for
Maintenance.
maintenance, loan payments, taxes, insurance. And so it looks like we're probably going to not use about 50,000 of that because there was an 8-week period. Now, 3 weeks ago, I'd heard that they thought they would extend that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
They would extend that to 24 weeks. And so, but I haven't heard a final on that. So what they're offering is if there's that 50,000 residue left there, that could be rolled into a 24-month, 1% loan. And the payments would start 6 months down the road. And, you know, I don't know if that's something we could do or whether we could even do it. Because see, that's the county. And so,
You can't.
No, it's not county. That's CCB. That's private.
yeah. So I just want to verify because they wanted me to check and I was sure I knew the answer, but now I've checked. If they extend it, then it doesn't matter. You know, if they give them a few more weeks to spend it, I mean, because at 50,000, it's just
Right, but that's a private.
it's just 2 more weeks to 1 more pay period, and it would be used. But
Yeah, but the county has nothing to do with that PPP. Nothing.
I know. So it could be rolled in.
That's up to your board and
Yeah.
your management.
Okay.
You can't roll it in anything we oversee.
Okay. And we should need it, but you just don't know what the future holds for us. And it would help even the cash flow out down the road if there's another hill in the road.
Yeah, I think you try your best to retain that somehow until needed.
Because what we're having issues with now is people don't want to check in family members that they can't go visit. And I understand that totally. And, you know, because right now they're in their rooms, they're fed in their rooms, and it's not good.
Has the COVID team, have you heard anything about lifting those restrictions at all on nursing
So
facilities?
on that, I mean, that's one of the worst places for it
Well, I would assume it'd be one of the last places
to
it
get
would open
into.
up.
And, I mean, they've done
I mean, you
an
see it in the
incredible
news.
job of keeping it out of there. as far
Well, and they
as-
keep
You
saying
see
that
it in
they'll
the news
send
all
it
the
up
time.
and that they'll get a directive on it and get that out. And like Eddie just said, it was supposed to come out Thursday or Friday. Well, did it come out Thursday or Friday? And then if they don't have anything, then they're like, well, that falls back on local, so get a hold of your county health and coordinate with them as to what the proper protocol is. It's very wishy-washy
It's
right now.
cloudy.
It is. And concerned about the liability issues.
Well, sure, if you start letting people in again
And something
and you have a
happens.
resident or numerous residents get ill, I can see where that would be a
But
problem.
I mean, it's in the news, it's all over TV, all over the newspapers, you know, those long-term care units and assisted living are bad. I mean, there again, we just see the bad ones, like, you know, there's a lot of them across the country that it's not an issue, but it's like a packing plant or a potato processing. If if it gets in there, you're sunk. You know, it just is.
So, was that a loan or was it a grant that could turn into a loan?
Well, it's a loan, but if you meet all the criteria, then it's a
It turns
grant.
into a grant.
Yes,
So right now, it's a loan.
yes.
But if you meet the criteria, which we hope we do,
They're under very strict orders. You be sure you verify every penny.
all right.
You know, they're not supposed to be taking any chances on there. That's, you know, be sure it's done correct. Because we
It's
want it
amazing
to.
where some of this COVID money went. You know, the airport got money. I mean, they're buying a mower, right or wrong.
So it's interesting.
It really is. I mean, I don't know.
I wouldn't want to be making those decisions, but they're throwing a lot of money at the wall, hoping some of it sticks, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
You
I'm
want
on
to be down
the,
there and see if you can catch some of it.
I'm on the KDHE website, and there was nothing for Thursday or Friday that I can see.
Well, I was sure they would have called Friday if it happened.
So how many people are in the rest home and the assisted living? Or you got quite a few openings?
Well, I think there's 28, of course, there's a recent passing, and so there'd be 27 at the moment,
Out of 30?
yes. So that didn't get as bad as I thought it might,
Is it mine?
but it, you know, each week, I mean, the passing part of it is part of this way it works. And so you don't know 10 days from now or 3 weeks, you know, you don't know where it's headed.
You
That's
open
what
it,
scares
open it
us.
up and get COVID in there, it could be a lot worse.
I know it. But that really affects our cash flow, obviously, if you know, because we could go to 6 vacant rooms in a matter of days, really. Or 12 or 15, you know, it's spooky.
Well, I understand the precautions, and I think they're totally justified. Just give us an idea when.
Yeah, and so you plan and waiting on phase 2, and that's supposed to happen, and then they shove you at 1.5 phase. Really? It's hard
And
to,
then
it's
it's a
hard,
matter of guidelines and not orders.
it's hard to follow, you know, you don't know which way to jump. So,
So are you testing like your health?
well, just the temperature and the symptoms, I mean,
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
doing tests,
You know, just temperatures
you
and
know. So that happens every shift.
I think Sarah's even doing, I think the hospital's still doing that, you take your temperature before you come to
I
work.
mean, I was just wondering, I knew you had to be doing something.
But you know, the hospital's not in the same fix,
Yeah.
they've got to try to.
They're still basically closed down, you know, closed to public. Well, they've started letting riders and stuff in, PTs, and they're
Okay.
on limited, you know. Be
Any
on-
visitors?
I don't know about.
Might check with county health and see if they've got any new information.
Well, they were kind of indicating last Wednesday or Thursday that they thought it would be okay, but we've got to rub elbows regularly with KDHE. You know, we don't want to stir that pot because they're the ones who do our inspections, and you want to give them the impression that you're doing everything they say.
But as Leslie indicated, now there are more guidelines than rules. And those guidelines seem to be fluid.
Every county is different,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's hard to predict which way to jump. But I think we want to stay on the,
Well, yeah, that's my stay on the safe side. All right, and Melanie did get that roof project finished, and it looks very nice. And
Good.
so-
Good.
So if there are any other questions, if not, I'll go back to the treasurer's office.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Eddie.
Yes. Thank you for your time.
Sure. And I'm assuming you must be Mandy.
I'm Mandy. Hi.
Well, good morning. How are
Good
you, Mandy?
morning. I have been traveling all 18 counties following these, and everyone is dealing with big, heavy COVID. And then I come and talk about domestic violence, and it doesn't make anyone any more happy. So I appreciate your time, and I know you guys are taking on so many big decisions.
Well, we're trying.
Oh my gosh, it's been, everywhere we go, everyone is dealing with the same stuff, so
Sure.
I appreciate it a lot. I'm here from Options in Hayes, so we do the domestic violence and sexual assault services for 18 counties in Northwest Kansas. You guys got a letter, I think, from our executive director with her ask to be considered for your budget for the next year. So I try not to talk about the money. I took this position about 2 years ago and realized that we're not serving small rural communities the way that we need to be. So we were launching a program to start having a traveling advocate come to every rural community. We're supposed to launch in February. It got to go for about 3 weeks, and then everything shut down. So I'm trying to get it back up and going by July. As soon as communities feel safe having us travel and meet with people face to face, we'll be doing that.
Where do you do that at?
So we've been contacting different communities, and the advocates will probably be contacting your community soon. And the communities have been allowing us to use safe spaces within their counties. So sometimes it's the hospital, libraries, different places letting us use confidential spaces to meet with people.
So it's just like a conversation, interview type setting,
Yes.
but it needs to be in a private.
Yes, because we opened an office in Colby, and what it is people from St. Francis don't have time to drive to Colby to talk about their problems. It's just not realistic. It's expensive. It's a long drive.
Sure.
And so we have to come to your community, and I realize that. So that's our goal now. I'm fundraising to get an RV, like the Child Advocacy Center, so that we can come to communities in an RV and set up our own office. I would think by the end of the year, depending on how the
Funding.
grant funds look and how COVID looks, that we could do that. But for now, we need to start providing those services as soon as we can. Our phone lines have increased by 200% since the lockdown started. People are still really nervous to get out of their house, so they haven't been coming in for direct services. I think if we went to them and provided a clean space that they're familiar with, that maybe they would be able to come and get those services. We could help people get to shelter and do all of that.
And forgive me for.
It's okay.
How are you contacted? How do you get involved with a client?
Normally directly. So they call us directly and say,
So it's kind of like a hotline setup.
yes. We have a hotline. We also just launched a 24/7 texting and chatting feature. We realized that we weren't reaching young people the way we should have. And as soon as we opened up the texting feature, suddenly we're getting more young people because they don't want to call. So we've got 24/7 hotline and texting and web chatting. So, and an app for everyone to reach out.
Well, in the past, we have allotted $1,500. That sounds pretty cheap.
It sounds good to me. I'm not going to complain about $1,500. I
Well,
think she asked for $2,000 this year, just because our travel expenses are going up to try to get to people. We
Well-
cover 18 counties, and so that money helps a lot.
And as you know, I'm sure you're well aware, the water is so muddy, we can't really.
my gosh.
We don't know where we're going to land.
Yes,
So we're kind of taking a
absolutely.
pretty tight budgeted approach
Yep.
to this.
And that's what we've heard across the board, is people don't know what's going to happen, and
Yeah.
they're financially just trying to be more responsible now, just in case of what's going to happen later. So
Exactly.
we expect all of that. I think we laid out our plan for ASK before we saw the big picture economic impact of what was happening.
Right.
So totally understood.
What-
Absolutely.
and And to give you a little hope, we would like to maintain our budget the way it is.
Sure.
We want to keep what we have.
Yeah.
We don't want to slip anywhere. But it may be difficult to add anything.
Sure.
But we'll do our best.
Absolutely.
Because I think it is important. We are underserved in this area.
You are.
I'm sure the county attorney can
Yes.
Well,
attest to
my
that.
question is, at this point in time, what actual services are you providing that are face-to-face?
Here? Or all,
Just
total?
throughout in
So
general?
we completely open back up. If people need to meet face to face, we'll meet with them. We have masks and sanitizer and things that we're giving to
Right, but
survivors.
when did you close down and then when did you open?
So we closed down at the beginning of March and we opened up 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago?
So during that time, like if someone was needing a safe house, were you
Yes.
providing that?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. We traveled out to get people and yeah. So our shelter never closed, our staff never stopped traveling. It was just having people come into our office that we shut down. So yeah, all of those essential services. The shelter's been full the whole time. Yeah.
Have we seen an increase in domestic violence cases?
Probably not. That's what we're hearing from law enforcement and county attorneys across the board is that people aren't reaching out for services. They're afraid to leave their homes.
Well, as I said, Mandy, we can't promise you anything. But I think personally it's an important.
Thank you. Thank you. And my goal is really to try to provide more services. So if you want us to contact you to see what that looks like or whatever we need to do, we need to be in rural and frontier counties more. You are extremely underserved and that doesn't do anything for your citizens. So my goal is this year, barring all COVID, that we start being able to see people face to face in this community. So-
I think the better connection would be with law enforcement.
Sure, yeah, and we've talked to Cody a couple of times pre-COVID, so hopefully now we can reach out and get people here and start doing that.
How do you advertise?
We use a lot of social media and we do a lot of print materials that we give out to law enforcement, hospitals.
Yeah, I've seen that. The print
Yes.
materials that are.
We usually have
Yep.
stuff out here.
There's in the bathroom,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Do you guys have any other questions for me?
I can't think of any.
Okay,
We'll do all we can.
thank you. Thank you
Yes.
so much for your time too, I appreciate it a lot. You
Okay.
guys have a good day.
All right. Thank you.
Enjoy the wind.
Travel safe with the wind.
Yeah, thank you. It's a beautiful drive.
Where'd you come from?
Rooks County. I live on a farm, and so I got to come the country way. I didn't have to stay on the interstate the whole time. It was really nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
I'm jealous of your perfectly square, flat fields. Have a good day.
Thank you.
We're in Alva County then. She wasn't in Alva County then.
It's a lot flatter than Rooks, though.
Yeah.
Well, and isn't Rooks one of the counties that lost all that oil and gas money?
Big amounts.
Reevaluation?
Roger must not be coming.
Apparently.
I suppose that's why the rest homes and that got a lot of money is because they knew they were gonna be short income because of the COVID. Not being able to,
I would imagine, especially if it got in there. I mean, you know,
I never really thought about it until the liability side of it. If you allow somebody in there that you have not tested and they wound up being positive and then
yeah.
give it to the residents, I think you'd have some liability troubles, or possibly.
Wasn't there some legislation that was being pushed through whereby,
it's like you said, the hospital's been released from that, but the
And I keep seeing where they're saying there's going to be up to $400 million available to the counties. But they're no more specific than that. I mean, available for what? Do we have to ask for it? Are they going to mail it to us?
well, you have to keep in mind, all of the PPE that has been purchased and all of the, like, for lack of a better term, overtime, Anything associated with COVID, the county pays first and then has to be reimbursed. So I think that's primarily what
So
that
where
funding
that
is
is-
for, is to,
So Ryan's office through emergency management is keeping track of all of our costs. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
I don't know how you could be liable for spreading it, really,
I don't know either, but
you know, because
I
almost,
think the thing is, if you open up, just open the doors,
Yeah.
you probably could be liable, or potentially liable.
there are some stories out there about restaurants that opened early and exposed patrons, and
yeah.
they're looking at some liability issues.
But I mean, you know, it's like you went somewhere on your
Willingly.
own. It's not like they dragged you over there.
Yeah. That's the whole problem with this. There's just too many unanswered questions.
Well, and then all the lawsuits in regards to, you know, like screening processes. And it is supposed to be truly voluntary. And if you don't want to give your name and you don't want to give your phone number, you shouldn't have to. Courts are mandating it. And it's like, you guys are going to get in trouble.
Yeah, you're going down the wrong path.
You're going to get sued when someone's like, I don't want to give you my phone number.
Let's take another little quick break. I should never drink coffee. I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems crazy that you could be liable for it. You know, it's just like if you had a cold or the flu.
Well, and, I mean, you've got contact tracing that has to be done. And, you know, you don't necessarily truly know where you've been exposed. I mean, you might be able to,